Perfect.
Mike Tyson has dropped a huge warning for Jake Paul as their much-awaited showdown nears. Tyson has kicked off his training, wowing everyone around with his lightning-fast punches and incredible strength. There have been these clips floating around showing Tyson going all out in a tough workout with his coach, Rafael Cordeira. They're really getting into it, working on hitting those pads hard and boosting Tyson's endurance. And amongst these training videos, Tyson throws in an icy warning aimed straight at Paul, making everyone watching feel a bit of a chill. On the flip side, during a chat on Rogan's podcast, Mike Tyson spilled the beans on a run-in he had with Jake Paul. Tyson shared how he bumped into Jake Paul, kinda like they ended up in the same spot by chance. He mentioned it all went down while he was hanging out on somebody's yacht. And lo and behold, Paul shows up there too.
If he's willing to do it, you know how crazy it is if he's willing
I
to
saw
do it?
Jake Paul, I was in St. Bart's. I was in St. Bart's and I don't know who you, I was on somebody's boat and he was there.
Rogan chimed in, highlighting how big a deal a bout between them could be, pointing out it grabbed loads of attention given how much buzz it's already stirring. Riding that wave, Tyson showed he was all in, excited at the prospect and suggesting they should totally go for it. And then he told them to click a picture of him if that's what he really wanted.
But my point is, that fight would be gigantic.
Oh,
Because
man.
first of all, everybody would want to see what.
Let's do it, Jakey.
On a different note, Campbell Hatton has some worries, hinting that those clips of Mike Tyson training might be misleading fans. He's thinking that these videos make Tyson ready to take on Jake Paul in a match, but there's a bit more to it. Hatton threw in his 2 cents, saying people are getting carried away because Tyson looks incredibly formidable in training videos, but people are justifying the fight based on his training prowess. Hatton's really pushing for folks to remember Tyson's age, stressing that despite Tyson throwing punches like nobody's business, lasting through the rounds and taking hits at 57 is a whole other ballgame. He's kind of worried about what a loss for Tyson could do to young fans who've been hyped up by these training snippets. Hatton's warning is all about caution. If Jake Paul knocks him out due to Tyson's age and diminished resistance, it could lead to young fans being misled and it might give the wrong impression to newcomers who might be introduced to boxing through YouTube. Jake Paul didn't hesitate to hit back at Tyson's intense caution, showing he's not backing down. After Tyson threw that challenge his way, asking if he was still up for the fight, Paul didn't miss a beat. He fired back with a tweet, Yeah, I do. Paul's heading right into this match on a high, with a streak of 3 wins behind him, even though the last 2 are against folks not quite at the top of the pro boxing ladder. In a chat not long ago, he was all, I can't believe it. It's so surreal to me. I'm trying to wrap my head around it. The moment when we squared off, I just started laughing. I stepped back thinking, man, what is even happening? Now with Tyson and Paul officially set to clash, the big question on everyone's lips is when the official press meetup will happen. Though the powers that be haven't dropped any hints yet, those in the know suggest it could be popping up sometime next month. But till then, we've got plenty of those spicy warnings and workout vids from both Tyson and Paul to keep the hype going.
Sign the contract, big boy. Sign the contract.
No problem. Saturday, July 20th. See you there, buddy.
Oscar De La Hoya. When he caught wind of Tyson versus Paul matchup, he couldn't help but worry about Tyson stepping into the ring with someone as young as Paul. The head honcho at Golden Boy Promotions wasn't all for Tyson taking on someone a whole 30 years younger. Oscar was like, I've been preaching this since the beginning with Jake Paul that he can actually do it. He can get a world title, but only if he takes a different route. This round going up against Mike Tyson is just not the right one for me. While breaking down the Tyson versus Paul fight, Oscar suggested that Paul might want to consider a different journey if he's aiming for that world champ title. Still, he didn't doubt Tyson's ability to land a knockout win against the problem child. Oscar added, Mike Tyson's 60 years old. Jake Paul's, 26, 27? If Jake Paul wants to take boxing seriously, take a route that all of the other fighters take. Tough fights, up the ranks, top 10 fighters, top 5, world champion. Not this route with Tyson. In yet another chat with ES News, Oscar De La Hoya highlighted just how tough Mike Tyson's adversaries were back in the day. He pointed out Tyson still has the punching power. The last thing to go till you're in the grave, basically. So, yeah, it's obviously lights out for Jake Paul. Tyson looking in top form for his 2020 exhibition bout with Jones, hasn't been quiet about his take on Paul stepping into the boxing scene. Back in April 2022, he shared his perspective on the then 27-year-old audacious dive into professional boxing. Tyson shared, "I love the fact he jumped into the game. People don't understand that boxing needs that. At this stage in boxing, the greatest fighters are not fighting each other. Boxing needs a guy like this." Looking back on his journey, Jake Paul shared his amazement. "It's crazy to think that in my second pro fight, I went viral for knocking out Nate Robinson on Mike Tyson's undercard. Now, less than 4 years later, I'm stepping up to face Tyson myself to see if I have what it takes to beat one of boxing's most notorious fighters and biggest icons." Tony Jeffries, who's once clinched a medal in Olympic boxing and now has turned to coaching, is eager to pass on his deep understanding of boxing.
Mike Tyson's last professional fight was nearly 20 years ago, 4 years ago, where Jake Paul, on the other hand, has been having fights regular, keeping active, training as good, if not better, than most professional boxers.
Tony was only recently quizzed about his thoughts on Mike Tyson, the boxing legend, stepping into the ring to show he still got it against someone younger. Tony shared some interesting thoughts, mentioning he has nothing to prove. If it goes horribly wrong for Mike Tyson, he'll be remembered by the younger generation as that older boxer that got knocked out by Jake Paul. But Tony didn't just stop at pondering Tyson's legacy. He turns attention to what his fight means for Jake Paul, pointing out, "I'm sorry to say, this is possible. The man is a living legend, a boxing icon." He then highlighted the silver lining for Jake Paul, stressing the massive chance this bout offers the younger fighter. "I think this fight is great for Jake, not Mike," he stated. Meanwhile, Steven Jackson, known for his candid opinions, recently aired his concerns about the upcoming match between Jake Paul and Mike Tyson on the All That Smoke podcast. A huge Tyson supporter, he shared, "His ups and downs of life and how he made love to the bad times is still here doing big things. I just don't want him to go out there and risk his legacy dealing with a guy like Jake Paul." While Steven Jackson recognizes Paul's achievements, he can't hide his worries, saying, "If he knocked Mike Tyson out, I'm just telling you, somebody's going to wait outside and hurt him for real." This comment underlines the profound respect Tyson is held in and the controversial stir Paul's challenge has caused. Similarly, Amir Khan, the former world champ, threw in his 2 cents on the Tyson vs. Paul showdown, betting on Tyson to wrap it up with an early knockout. Amir shared, "The fight between Mike Tyson and Jake Paul. Wow, no one could have ever expected a fight like that to be made. Mike Tyson is a legend of the game, and not someone who you want to mess about with. Even though he's older now and has been retired for a long time, he obviously has done a few exhibitions." Khan further aired his concerns for Jake Paul, wondering the wisdom behind stepping into the ring with a heavyweight titan like Tyson. He continued, "I just feel like he can really hurt Jake Paul. I just can't believe what Jake Paul's thinking. He's fighting a heavyweight great, and I think he can get hurt badly." Amir Khan mulled over the reality of the showdown between Mike Tyson and Jake Paul, wondering if it was all just a big publicity stunt, especially since they both announced it simultaneously. He couldn't hide his shock and worry, hoping Tyson wouldn't seriously hurt Paul. Khan voiced his concern. "Is it just hype with Mike and Jake posting it at the same? This is unreal. I hope that Mike doesn't end up hurting him because at the end of the day, I like Jake, but Mike is not a person you want to mess with or do an exhibition with, especially when you're a lot smaller and lighter." And of course, Khan aired his doubts about the bout actually happening, despite being caught off guard by the announcement. Regardless of his skepticism, he believed that if the fight were to occur, Mike Tyson would secure a victory by knockout. Emphasizing Tyson's still daunting presence in the ring, Khan ended his talk with a prediction. "I've got Mike Tyson winning by knockout. Even though he's in his 50s, he's still a dangerous guy not to be messed with." So, what do you think? Could Jake Paul actually put up a fight against the boxing legend Mike Tyson, or is he fighting someone who is retired way too long? Don't forget to share your thoughts in the comments and predictions below.